Have you ever noticed that some things just don't feel quite the same as they used to? Maybe your energy dips earlier in the day, or intimacy isn't as strong or spontaneous as it once was. You tell yourself it's just part of aging, but deep down, a part of you wonders, is there more I could be doing? Well, the answer is yes. And surprisingly, one of the most overlooked pieces of the puzzle might be sitting right on your plate. Now, I know what you're thinking. Vegetables? Aren't they supposed to be good for you? For the most part, absolutely. But not all vegetables are created equal, especially when it comes to your hormones, blood flow, and, yes, even your erections. That's why today we're diving into a topic most doctors won't even bring up until you ask: the worst vegetables for men over 60 who want to keep their vitality and sexual health strong. Now, before we get into it, let me just say this isn't about shame or embarrassment. This is about confidence, control, and living life on your terms. Your body is still capable of amazing things when you give it the right fuel. So, let's talk about the first vegetable that might be quietly working against you, not for you. Let's talk about soybeans. And yes, that includes edamame and even tofu. These little beans have been praised for their protein and heart health benefits, but what many people don't realize is that soy contains compounds called phytoestrogens. These are plant-based chemicals that mimic estrogen in the body. For younger people or women, that might not be such a big deal. But for a man over 60 who's already experiencing a natural decline in testosterone, adding extra estrogen into the mix can throw things out of balance even more. When testosterone levels drop too low, blood flow becomes restricted, energy drops, and libido can fizzle out. Think of testosterone like the engine in a car. It's what gets everything running smoothly. But when you're eating foods that add more brake than gas, the result can be frustrating. And here's the catch. Soy shows up in all sorts of sneaky places. Not just tofu or soy milk, but also in many processed foods, salad dressings, and protein bars. You might be eating it without even realizing it. Now, I'm not saying you need to ban soy forever, but if you've been including it regularly in your meals thinking it's a health food, it might be worth cutting back. Instead, go for lean animal proteins or beans like black beans or lentils that support testosterone without mimicking estrogen. Now, let's move on to something even more surprising: canned tomatoes. Yep, you heard me right. Tomatoes are often praised for being rich in lycopene, an antioxidant that's great for prostate health. But the problem isn't the tomato itself, it's what it comes in. Most canned tomatoes are stored in containers lined with a chemical called BPA, or bisphenol A. This compound can leach into your food and mess with your hormones, especially testosterone. BPA is known as an endocrine disruptor, and when your hormones get disrupted, everything from your mood to your metabolism to your erections can take a hit. Over time, this kind of exposure adds up, especially if you're using canned tomatoes, soups, and stews week after week. And again, this isn't just about one can, it's about what happens when these foods become staples in your diet. A simple fix? Try fresh tomatoes, or look for canned versions labeled BPE-free. Better yet, cook down your own sauce from fresh or frozen tomatoes at home. It tastes better, and your body will thank you. You know, I remember talking with a gentleman in his late 60s who had just about given up on intimacy. He told me, "I thought I was just old and broken." But after we took a closer look at his diet, it was clear that certain foods, including soy-based snacks and canned veggies, were dragging him down. Within a few months of cutting those out and replacing them with cleaner options, he said he felt like a new man. He laughed and said, "My wife told me to thank you, but I told her to thank the tomatoes." It's funny how small changes can bring big results, and that's the goal here. Not to overhaul your life overnight, but to make smart, informed choices that work for your body, not against it. It's about reclaiming energy, confidence, and connection, even if it's been a while. Let's talk about one more vegetable while we're at it: eggplant. Now, this one might surprise you. Eggplant is low in calories and full of fiber, but it also contains a compound called solanine. In small amounts, solanine isn't usually a problem, but as we age, our bodies process certain plant compounds differently. Solanine has been linked to inflammation in sensitive individuals, and inflammation is a major enemy of blood flow. And if there's one thing your body needs for healthy erections, it's strong, unrestricted blood flow. I'm not saying you need to toss out your baba ganoush or never eat grilled eggplant again. But if you've noticed joint stiffness, bloating, or sluggishness after eating nightshade vegetables like eggplant, potatoes, or peppers, your body might be telling you something. Pay attention to how you feel after meals. Your body is smarter than you think. It'll let you know when something's not working. Now, I want to pause here for a second and just say, this isn't about fear. It's about awareness. You've made it this far in life with strength, wisdom, and grit, but there's always room to sharpen the tools you already have. And what you eat is one of the most powerful tools of all. So far, we've talked about how soy, canned tomatoes, and even eggplant might be affecting your testosterone, blood flow, and energy in ways you never expected. These might seem like small choices, but they can make a big difference in how you feel each day, and how you show up for the people and moments that matter most. Now that we've covered some of the unexpected ways these vegetables might be silently sabotaging your health, let's keep going and talk about another vegetable that often gets labeled as healthy, but could be doing more harm than good, especially for men over 60. I'm talking about raw spinach. Now, don't get me wrong, spinach can be an excellent source of nutrients like magnesium and iron. But when it's eaten raw and in large amounts, spinach contains something called oxalates. These natural compounds can bind to calcium and other minerals in your body, making it harder for you to absorb them properly. And that matters, especially when we talk about circulation, nerve function, and, yes, sexual performance. Why? Because oxalates can lead to the formation of tiny calcium crystals in the body, which over time may contribute to kidney stones and even disrupt blood flow. And when blood flow gets restricted, particularly in the areas that need it most, you can bet performance takes a hit. I've had more than a few men come in frustrated, only to find out their super healthy morning smoothie loaded with raw spinach was silently setting them back. One simple solution? Cook your spinach. Lightly steaming or sautéing it helps break down those oxalates and makes the nutrients more bioavailable. Your body absorbs them better, and you're not bombarding your kidneys with extra baggage. Plus, cooked spinach can be just as tasty, especially with a splash of olive oil or a sprinkle of garlic. It's all about working with your body, not against it. I want to pause for a moment and say, if you've been eating these foods thinking you were doing the right thing, don't feel discouraged. That just means you care. You've been trying. And sometimes it's just a matter of tuning in and making a few smart tweaks. You're not starting from zero. You've already taken the first step by showing up and listening. Now, let's move on to the fifth and final vegetable I want to share with you today, and it's one that's likely been on your dinner plate more than a few times: white potatoes. Yes, good old-fashioned spuds. They're comforting, they're filling, and they've been a staple in meals for generations. But here's the catch. White potatoes are high in starchy carbohydrates, which break down quickly into sugar in your bloodstream. And when blood sugar spikes, insulin follows, and over time, high insulin levels can contribute to inflammation, weight gain, and even lower testosterone. You see, elevated blood sugar not only puts strain on your heart and energy levels, but it also wreaks havoc on your vascular system. And if there's one system that needs to be in top shape for strong, reliable erections, it's your vascular system. The smoother the blood flows, the better everything else functions. But high-carb, starchy vegetables like white potatoes can create a roller coaster effect on your body, especially if you're not balancing them with enough fiber or protein. Now, I'm not saying you need to give up mashed potatoes forever. Life's too short to never enjoy comfort food. But maybe think about swapping them out a few nights a week with something like sweet potatoes, cauliflower mash, or even roasted carrots. These options give you that same hearty satisfaction without the blood sugar spike, and your body will thank you for it. You know, I once worked with a couple, both in their mid-60s, who came to me frustrated and out of sync. The spark had faded, and they didn't know why.
We talked through everything from stress to sleep to diet. When we looked at their meals, it was clear. Processed foods, soy snacks, and loads of potatoes had become a regular part of their routine. They were trying to keep meals simple, but those choices were quietly building a wall between them.
After just a few weeks of switching out a few ingredients, introducing more cooked greens, healthy fats, and clean protein, their energy shifted. They started walking together after dinner, laughing more, and, well, let's just say they reported some fun surprises returning to their evenings. That's the power of the right foods. You don't need pills, expensive treatments, or fancy equipment. Sometimes you just need to stop eating what's hurting you and start nourishing what's already within you. It's not too late to feel that kind of connection again, with yourself, with your partner, with your life. You deserve that. And your body, no matter your age, is still full of potential. So let's take a breath here. We've gone through 5 vegetables that might not be doing you any favors. Soybeans with their estrogen-like effects, canned tomatoes and their sneaky BPA problem, eggplant and its inflammatory compounds, raw spinach loaded with oxalates, and those comforting but blood sugar spiking white potatoes. What you eat every day shapes your energy, your hormones, and how alive you feel. It's not about chasing youth. It's about feeling strong in your own skin right now. And the best part? These changes are simple, they're doable, and they can start with your very next meal. You've got the wisdom, you've got the life experience. Now you've got a few powerful tools in your hands too. Keep listening to your body. Notice how you feel after meals. Swap out a few ingredients and you might just be surprised at the difference it makes, not just in the mirror, but in your confidence, your connection, and your quality of life. Let's keep this momentum going, because here's the truth that so many men forget. It's not just about cutting out the bad stuff. It's about building habits that support your strength, your clarity, and, yes, your desire for intimacy and connection. I know for a lot of men over 60, talking about erections or even thinking about them can feel like walking through a minefield. There's shame, frustration, maybe even grief over what feels like lost time. But let me tell you something that I hope really sinks in. You are not broken. Your body hasn't given up on you. It's just been waiting for the right support. And when we talk about vegetables, or really any food, it's not just about whether it's healthy on paper. It's about how it works for your specific needs at this stage of life. Testosterone levels naturally decline with age, yes, but that doesn't mean desire has to fade, or that connection has to disappear. It just means your body needs more mindful fuel, less stress, better sleep, smarter choices. And trust me, even tiny adjustments can set off a ripple effect that touches every part of your life. Think about this. When your blood sugar is stable, you have more energy during the day. When you're eating foods that reduce inflammation, your joints feel looser and more flexible. When your hormones are in balance, your mood improves, and suddenly, things that once felt out of reach start to come back into focus. That's what I want you to take from all of this. Not a list of forbidden foods, not guilt, not fear, just awareness and action. Because once you start making these changes, even one at a time, it doesn't just affect your physical health. It builds confidence, and that confidence radiates. It shows up in your posture, your smile, the way you speak, and how you show up in relationships. I've seen it happen over and over again. Men who were quiet, withdrawn, tired, they start eating with purpose, fueling their bodies with intention, and suddenly they're back in the driver's seat of their lives. Now, let's take a moment to bring it all together. If you've been eating soy regularly, edamame, tofu, or even processed foods with hidden soy, you now know that those estrogen-like compounds might be dragging down your testosterone. Canned tomatoes, watch out for BPA in the lining. Swap those out for fresh or at least BPA-free options. That innocent-looking eggplant or raw spinach in your salad? If your joints ache or your energy dips after eating them, it could be the inflammation or oxalates talking. Try cooking your greens and see how your body responds. And those starchy white potatoes? Delicious, yes, but they spike your blood sugar and push your insulin around, setting you up for low energy and poor circulation where you need it most. You're not powerless here. In fact, you're in more control than you probably realize. Your plate, your fork, those are tools. Just like exercise and sleep, your diet can either be a bridge to stronger intimacy or a quiet barrier. And here's something else I want you to remember. You are not alone. So many men are facing these changes in silence, thinking it's just something to accept. But what if, instead of giving up, you reached out, shared what you're going through? You'd be amazed how many people are dealing with the exact same thing, wondering the same things you are. That's why conversations like this matter. That's why your voice, your questions, and your story matter. So if anything in this video resonated with you, if you had an aha moment or even just a flicker of hope, I encourage you to drop a comment below. Share your experience. Or maybe just say, "That sounds like me." You never know who else is reading and needs to see it. And if this gave you some value today, go ahead and hit that like button. It tells me you want more content like this, straight talk about real issues men face as they age. And if you're not already subscribed, join us. We talk health, vitality, relationships, all the stuff that really matters when you want to live fully after 60. Because here's the truth, this phase of life, it's not the end of anything. It's the beginning of your era, the time when you stop living for everyone else and start listening to what you need. The time to stand taller, feel stronger, and live with that quiet fire in your belly again. You don't need to be in your 30s to feel like a man. You just need to care for your body like someone who still wants to live well. Someone who knows that desire isn't a young man's game. It's a human need, and it's still within your reach. So here's to that version of you, the one who's ready to make small, smart changes, the one who's learning, showing up, and not giving up. Your best years aren't behind you. They're right here, and they're just getting started. Take care of yourself, fuel your body with intention, and don't forget, you deserve to feel alive again. Here's to living your best life at any age.